Hello YouTube, my name is Sam, aka The Sensible Leftist, and in this video I'm going to be talking about the myths that anti-porn crusaders do believe about what would happen if you ban porn and why they are total bullshit. Now, before I continue, if you end up liking this video, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. So, I know I made a similar video about this some time ago, but now that we have actual zealots in positions of power that actually tried making laws to ban the pornography industry at the distribution and sometimes even at the possession level, I think it's time to revisit the subject here. Now, the first myth that anti-porn crusaders have about banning porn is that it will stop trafficking. Now, first things first, the only trafficking that actually exists in porn is in these people's heads, because I get there is sex trafficking out there, but there is no sex trafficking in mainstream porn, okay? Now, a lot of anti-porn crusaders would be like, it's not the type of trafficking, you know, they post fake ads in the newspaper telling women that they're looking for an extra on a TV show or whatever, and then when they come to the studio, they make them do a sex act of some guy, and that's how it starts. All right, first off, that doesn't happen, and it has never happened, okay? And there was a former adult film actor who basically explained it better than I could on how there is no trafficking in porn and women are not being coerced into doing it. Take a look.
Myth number one, women are coerced into the porn industry. I'm talking very specifically about the professional porn industry. All of the women that work for those big companies that you probably fap to on Pornhub, all of them got into the industry of their own free will. The agents that I know, they don't do any recruiting. They don't have to. Their inbox is inundated with applications from women who are trying to get into the industry. They don't have to coerce anybody to do it. They're just coming freely. Now, is there some sexual exploitation material out there on the internet? 100% there is. But this idea that the professional porn industry is all made up of women that were coerced into it is just not true. Now, you might be asking yourself, why are these porn managers being inundated with applications? My opinion is that mainstream society has made porn way more socially acceptable. You look at movies, you look at music videos, you look at things like Instagram, and all it is these days is women showing off their body. Music videos today would have been considered pornographic in like the 80s, 90s. So when society trends in that direction, it makes for a woman the choice of, oh, okay, I could flash my ass on Instagram and get attention, or I could do it on a porn set and make money out of it. That decision, the barrier to making that decision is significantly reduced for a lot of women.
You want to know how this myth is bullshit? Because if you ban porn, what's going to happen is that the big time studios are probably just going to move production to Canada or Mexico. But the smaller studios who are not going to be able to afford to move to Canada or Mexico are going to have to resort to using unscrupulous methods to find talent. And then that's when trafficking might actually start happening in porn, as if you ban it and force it underground. The second myth about what would happen if you ban porn is, oh, the adult performers can find new jobs, or the people who work in porn can find new jobs. Well, I can tell you right now that based on how many former adult film actors have trouble finding work after they leave the porn industry, it's not going to make things better if porn is banned. It's actually going to make things worse, and here's why I say that. They will be Enroned. And if you want to know about the whole Enron story, well, I'm not going to tell you, you can look it up. But suffice it to say, the low-level employees of Enron, the ones that had absolutely nothing to do with the fraud that was going on in the company, found themselves unable to find new jobs for months, even years afterwards, because as soon as hiring managers saw that they had Enron on their resume, they would chuck the resume right in the garbage, even if the candidate, him or herself, was perfectly qualified for the job. What do you think's going to happen to former adult film employees, actors, you know, producers, whatever, web development guys? What do you think's going to happen to the people who normally can't work in porn anymore because it's banned? What do you think's going to happen to them when they go to find new jobs? Hiring managers are going to see that they worked for an industry that's now banned and criminalized, and they're going to take their resume and chuck it right in the garbage, just like they did to people who worked for Enron. they're going to be really bad, and it might actually crash the economy, but I'm not going to get into that. So there is another myth here, and one that I see persistently, which is also bullshit, and that is banning porn will get men to look for a real woman instead of basically incentivizing these men to just, jerk it to pixels on a screen. Now, I can tell you right now that first things first, as someone who considers himself relatively tech savvy, a porn ban will only be effective if they would also force ISPs and even VPNs to block access to it, which is going to be another fiasco altogether when non-porn websites start getting blocked because the keywords end up running afoul of the porn ban. But that's another topic. See, here's the problem. There are two types of people who watch adult films mainly. Couples in healthy relationships who use it to enhance their sex lives, and guys who are going through a pretty rough dry spell and can't find any other way, so it's better to just, jerk it to someone virtual on a screen. Okay? Now, I got news for these people who think this myth. Banning access to porn is not going to make these men any more dateable. It's not. You know what it's going to do? It's going to make these men not only unable to find a woman, but it's also going to make them increasingly sexually frustrated. And you know what happens when you get increasingly sexually frustrated? For some men, they're likely to bottle it up until they explode on a real-life unwilling target. That's why in countries that actually banned pornography saw a sharp increase in rapes and sexual assaults. It's been proven study after study that legal access to porn has actually helped reduce the rates of sexual violence because, quite frankly, it acts as an emergency release valve when you can't get it any other way. Banning porn will basically not make things better for these men, it'll make things worse. Now, one other thing I want to mention that I mentioned in my previous video is anti-porn crusaders seem to think that if you just ban porn, it will not affect anything else, it'll just affect porn. And I can tell you now, previously I speculated on it, but now you have actual people who work in various non-porn industries that are saying that yes, this ban will affect them too. Now, I'm going to reference one particular bill here. Senator Mike Lee from Utah, who basically drafted a bill that would rewrite the obscenity laws to basically ban any form of adult content, and the way he written it was ridiculous. Basically, any image or video of a sexual nature will automatically be rendered illegal in the United States. Now, I don't know if Mike Lee forgot what it's like to be a young teenage boy, or even a young man in general, but an image doesn't have to be pornographic to basically be used in a sexual nature. Take Instagram, for example. Now, yes, I know that Instagram doesn't allow porn. Come on, we know that. But that doesn't mean that images from the platform can't be used by someone to basically satisfy themselves, I'll give you a couple of examples, okay? The fashionista who is being paid by fashion houses to model their outfits. The attractive local newscaster who uses Instagram as her outlet not just to show what she wears on air, but also what she likes to what she likes to wear when she's out on the town with her girlfriends. The college student who basically likes to use Instagram to show off basically a visual diary of her life. Any enterprising soul can use a downloader, download these images, delete the ones that are dull or irrelevant, and use the ones that he finds arousing to basically use it as a pleasure aid. Does that make these images porn? No, it doesn't. But just because of the very possibility that someone can use these non-sexual images in a sexual nature, Instagram might find itself caught in the middle of a porn ban, such as the one that Mike Lee tried to write. Okay? And it's also, and unfortunately, because of that, Instagram might have to start heavily policing the type of content that is allowed on their platform. And it's unfortunately going to target women the most, where they're going to basically find that anything more revealing than a short sleeve t-shirt might get pulled from the platform. But there are other problems as well. Hollywood and film studios have basically said that based on the nature of how Mike Leigh's bill is written, it could basically render any sort of sex scene in even mainstream movies or TV shows illegal to film or show. And there's also another myth too that is bullshit that I want to mention, and that is the fact that it'll stop people from watching porn. No, it won't, because I got news for you. VPNs exist, and VPNs can be used to route traffic to basically countries where porn is not banned. So it's basically not going to basically stop people from watching porn. It's going to make guys and people in general more sexually frustrated, and might cause to do something crazy or stupid because of it. It will not stop trafficking. In fact, it might actually make traffic, and in fact, it might actually introduce trafficking if it's pushed underground. And quite frankly, it'll start affecting other platforms and, media outlets as well. So that's why the myths that, about porn, banning porn, that are bullshit. And I'm going to end this right now. If you end up liking this video, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And until next time, I will see you soon. Bye.